Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the For the Fan podcast. I am Will, and we got Jake and Dom here. Gentlemen, hello.
Sup?
We have Brian, who just joined the live on TikTok. And gentlemen, episode 129, the AFC South. If Colton was here, he would say it's his second least division. But he's MIA right now. He's missing in action.
Following his least favorite division last week. So, what a stretch.
As I botched last week when I said, we start with the worst division. And, I caught myself before I said it. And then, had to go back the other way there. So, thank you for all that are joining the TikTok live. We are live on YouTube. And you can also follow us on all of our other platforms down below. YouTube for the Fan Network. Leave a nasty comment like half the other people do on there. TikTok for the Fan Network, since some of you guys are already on there. Twitter _ X for the Fan _ and Instagram for the Fan Football. Yeah, after this episode, we'll be halfway done with teams. We'll be 16 down with 16 to go. So,
and we'll get into some actual good teams.
And we'll get into some decently qualifying teams fighting for some playoff spots. And, yeah.
Hey, they are. One of these teams are.
One of them are. Eventually, one of them are.
Every single division, one of them are, but it's okay. Whatever.
All right,
the last one where just somebody has to win.
Someone has to win. That was last week, so someone unfortunately needs to take it away.
Someone will win this week. So.
All right. Well, without further ado, you are listening to For the Fan.
You are listening to For the Fan.
I opened up TikTok on my phone to see if, I could watch the stream. And what do you know? For You page came up right away. So, what are the odds of that?
Oh, you mean we came up right away for you?
Yeah, we came up right away. I opened it up. I was just like, oh, let me check this out here. And boom.
Perfect.
I know. Look at that.
It didn't happen for me, so I guess my algorithms.
I mean,
that's on me. That's on me.
I don't even see our post on Instagram, so
mine's mostly cat videos. So I guess
yours is dancing people. The Roar guy who cuts the desserts up. Your For You page is brick by brick built by you.
And you, because you send me stuff, and then I get infected by them, and then I'm now screwed. That's how it goes. That's okay. That's just social media right there.
Talking about infecting, let's talk about the AFC South here. So we're going to start with the worst team in the division, and we're going to make our way to the division winner. So, Dom, if you want to pull this up here, we are going to start out with the Tennessee Titans. And, well, it's an end of an era since Ryan Tannehill's no longer there, Derrick Henry's no longer there. If you want to put in A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Delaney Walker, that whole offense from, the mid-2010s to the early 2020s, which is weird to even think about. The Titans are now going to be commanded by the man himself at number 8, Billy Jeans, a.k.a. Will Levis, and one of his wide receivers, Nick Westbrook-Akine. Yeah, I have nothing else to say, but I don't know. Let me pull this into here. I don't know what to expect from this team in 2024. I really don't. If you want to go into the offense here.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is one of two teams where I don't know what to expect from in this year. It's not like, oh, hey, maybe they could be on the cusp of the playoffs. They're going to be bad this year. Maybe they're in the playoffs. Them and another team, which we haven't talked about, I can't put a rating on where they will finish at the end of this year.
Well, does bringing in two big wide receivers cancel out the place to go to die with Hopkins and Ridley?
I mean, right off the bat, because Jake mentioned it, having DeAndre Hopkins, then Calvin Ridley, then Tyler Boyd, kind of hits you with, at one point in this league, the best wide receiver 1, the best wide receiver 2, and also basically still maybe the best wide receiver 3 in the league. At one point, maybe not right now, but I mean, that's not really a bad receiving core at all. It's a much better receiving core. It's the best receiving core we've seen from this team since A.J. Brown was on it.
Oh,
A.J. Brown, Corey Davis.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, Delaney Walker, one of the best like secondary tight ends who got his big breakout in like his mid-30s for the Titans and was just running over people in his 30s all over the field there. But I should also say Brian Callahan, a first-year head coach. He spent the last couple years with the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Shiesty. He goes down with injury. Jake Browning comes in. They didn't lose a step on the Bengals offense, which helped him come into here after Vrabel was kind of like outed in like a weird way. He's no longer there. He didn't get a job, which is also very weird to even think about. But now offensive coordinator Nick Foles, who's bounced around the league. He was with the Raiders for, most of the 2010s. He was with the Jaguars last season. Denard Wilson, another guy. He's been bouncing all around as a coach from college and the pros there. On offense here, Will Levis is the man of the hour. Mason Rudolph they brought in on a cheap $4 million deal. And they have Malik Willis, who was really surprised in camp. He could be winning the quarterback 2 spot if, all goes well. Just depends how that goes there. But, yes, we brought in Calvin Ridley. We brought in Tyler Boyd. You bring in Lloyd Cushenberry from Denver. You draft J.C. Latham from Alabama round 1. You've re-solidified this offensive line that has been really thin over the last couple of years, since Taylor Lewan, since your Jack Conklins.
Yeah, I really like it. This is the first time I'm really looking at their roster all put together since the offseason. It's a lot better than I thought. Like, my first thought, because, last year's a train wreck and Will Levis is not. Outside, half a game versus the Steelers, hasn't looked like a franchise quarterback at all.
Yeah.
You mean his game against the Buccaneers where he was just firing 50-yard touchdown passes the entire game?
I just remember that one Thursday night game where it was painful to watch.
Oh, and then the Monday night game where they got the and then
their Thursday night game.
And then that Monday night game against the Dolphins.
I don't remember that one.
He has athletic, he shows the flashes. He always has, even in college. It's just, I still don't think he's a guy.
My thing is, this team obviously lost in the running back area this offseason. Obviously, that's what's going to happen. Well, you go from Derrick Henry and what this team has done with Derrick Henry and what Derrick Henry has meant to this team, to Tony Pollard, who was questionable last year. Spears, who was not bad last year. Spears was good for what it.
Great third down back.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Cool. But
Pollard also coming off of injury.
Yeah,
a pretty gnarly one too.
It's not what it was, but then you also heftily improve the wide receiver room in the passing and receiving game. So, this team's identity should be a little bit different than what we're used to for the Tennessee Titans in the past 5 years or so. I don't know. It's whether or not they could do it or not, whether or not Will Levis can do it or not. It really comes down to him, because a quarterback should not struggle with these 3 wide receivers.
Or this offensive line, or it's basically on him. It's like the Daniel Jones situation.
Yeah.
It's on you if this goes wrong. Except they'll still make mistakes. If it's Daniel Jones, they'll still make excuses for him.
And then another big name to talk about here too, Treylon Burks, who was a part, if you want to say a part of that A.J. Brown trade. The Eagles trade that first-round pick to get A.J. Brown. They give it to the Titans. They draft Treylon Burks. And the only way he's making this roster this year, apparently, is via special teams. It's sad to see. He had so much hope out of Ole Miss, I believe. He was out of the SEC.
Arkansas, I think it was.
Arkansas? Okay, so a lot of hope for him, trying to fill in big shoes for a wide receiver who's now hundreds of $1 million now making with the Philadelphia Eagles. I like this entire offense now. I really do. There's not really a hole I can see. Maybe tight end 2. You have Tajay Spears. You have Haskins.
A tight end 2 spot in anywhere in this league is, that's not, if that's where your hole begins on your offense, no one's calling that bad. No one's saying, oh, we have issues if it's that. So that's okay.
I don't have anything else on this offense. I really don't. Other than, I don't have anything else.
I think they'll probably start slow because it's a lot of new pieces on offense too.
New coaching staff, everything.
Like your starting running back, your starting center, basically your whole receiving core. I mean, Hopkins was there last year for how long?
The entire season.
Entire year? I forget when he got traded.
Yeah, entire season.
All season.
Yeah. Defense?
Yeah, let's go to the defense here. And they have made a lot of big moves here. Let me pull up the chart here. So they add Sebastian Joseph Day from the Chargers. They also add Kenneth Murray from the Chargers. They added Chidobe Awuzie from the Bengals. Now he's another year removed from the ACL, so maybe he can reclaim that number one corner spot. They make that trade for L'Jarius Sneed, which was just a third-round pick, a little bit of extra change. Yeah, they've made a lot of big moves. Tavondre Sweat from Texas. I saw a photo going around, and it was Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons standing next to each other. And if you know Jeffrey Simmons, he's a big dude. You don't want to get in his way. Tavondre Sweat made Jeffrey Simmons look like a guy who works finance a 9 to 5. He made him look like a normal human, which is absurd to think about. Because you know how big Jeffrey Simmons is. And, well, there we have it.
Again, it's kind of the same thing. Like if the things that they brought in,
you commented on there.
Oh, dude! I guess it's got to be addressed. So that's supposed to be a private chat between me and Will on the program we use. But also, I just learned that there's a technical issue when I try to do that. So that just happened.
You're supposed to click private chat, not the comments.
No, I did, but it's because I used two different windows, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But that's really funny. That happened. I'm like, excuse me?
Dom has
and Jake looked at me.
4 monitors in front of him.
So that's really funny.
But yeah, they also added Jamal Adams. They drafted a guy, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., and I've seen videos in camp, and he's been clamping down DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. And I saw a tweet, and I thought it was really funny. And trust me, it's accurate because I watched the video of it. The man doesn't wear gloves. He doesn't wear any arm sleeves. He doesn't wear any wristbands or anything. He's a pure psycho at cornerback. And he might be one of the best up-and-coming guys who's behind Roger McCreary, who's going to be the starting nickelback regardless. But they've really fixed this defense up too, where they messed up on the Bud Dupree contract after Dupree tore his ACL in his final year in Pittsburgh. They've really revamped how this team is. And it's exciting to see where they're going to go. And I hope you guys now understand, I don't know where to put this team. I've really inspected this team for so long. I don't know where I could place them on a playoff team, borderline playoff team, or they're fighting for a top 10 pick. I don't really know where they're even going to be placed.
I just think with the AFC, how it is, they're not going to win the division over the Texans most likely, so they're going to be fighting in a really rough wild card spot then. I see what are either 9-7. What's that? That's new 8-8.
9-8 is the new 8-8.
Yeah, because I don't think they're going to start well, but they'll probably have some mid-season, resurgence, and then it just come up short. That's where I kind of think this will happen depending on the schedule.
I mean, they went 6-11 last year, so that wasn't incredibly bad either.
But I think it was 2 wins through the first 12 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't know, man. I really don't, actually. You might be right about that, Will. I don't know
and
where.
And you look at if you want to go to the schedule too, I don't know if you have any other thoughts on this. Still, there's a lot of winnable games on here. There's no one on here that's oh, hey, I could chalk up an L really early. I could chalk up the Jets. I could chalk up the Packers, the Lions. I'll put the Bengals in there, and then maybe one of the Texans games. I do not know where to put this team. I am just really confused looking at this team because it's not even that bad of a schedule, too.
It's a tough stretch to start, and then you have this really early bye week. So, your first 4 or 5 weeks are just weird and tough, and then you come out of it with a divisional game. That's really that's a tough quarter of the schedule to start with, and then the bye week, which is, I guess that could be good after there's 3 consecutive games there. But then, okay, if your season really starts, then you don't have a bye week for the rest of the season. That's tough.
I have 7. wins,
which is basically last year.
which is again like I said, 9-8, 7
Yeah, 7-10.
I got 9. Like I don't know. This is such a weird team where like
they're not going to sweep anyone in their division. So,
I think the only team they could probably sweep is either the Colts or the Jaguars.
well, what Colts are we seeing? Like we're going to get to that later, but
Are we going to see Anthony Richardson? Are we going to see?
I just chalked it up as a split because we don't know which one we're going to have. I have them winning that home game after the bye week.
Yeah, I had that too. And then it's like weird. Like you go to Buffalo, but it's not like cold Buffalo, but it's not like warm Buffalo. You have like
even the Buffalo now, they're still a lot better than this team.
yeah.
I have like maybe 7, maybe 8. That's tough.
Detroit's a loss. I win against Patriots.
Chargers is like up in the air. Who knows? That's like one of those kinds of games. I mean, maybe they could just pull something out or whatever.
I mean, I had 7 with them winning that game.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty
I
tough.
don't know. I could still see them beat the Dolphins. Like they beat them last year on Monday Night Football too.
But
Like,
the Dolphins always start really hot and they're going down to Miami.
and it's a night game too, so they don't have to worry about the sun beating down on them, like the hot Miami sun, where it's 175 degrees on their sideline, and it's
That's how
a
it's
cool.
designed, which is nonsense. It's literally designed to give the other team heat stroke. That's ridiculous.
It is crazy. But then you have this early bye week. It sucks easily. You know, week 5 bye week is crazy, dude. You play 1 month of the season, boom, bye week. Now you have.
I mean, if you want to even say 2 bye weeks, you have a bye week at the end of August because you're not playing. There's no 4th preseason game, and then beginning of October, like
It's weird.
When is the schedule changed when they're doing actual 2 bye weeks? And
it would be if they go to 18 games, which
they're going to.
it sounds like they're going to, but it's not going to be till the next CBA comes out.
Okay. Which is when?
Whenever this one expires. I know they readjusted it for COVID.
I think it's 26.
Okay. Well, still sucks with the week 5 bye week. Yeah, I don't know. 7 to 9 wins. That's what we got.
And
Yeah.
it's not because they're bad either. Like they're
No.
just not good enough.
Yeah, and plus we also have a hard time identifying them. Like, what if the passing game is really
Unless Levis actually like
Yeah.
goes insane, then
I mean, look at what Callahan did with Jake Browning. I remember him coming in. I'm like, who the hell is Jake Browning? And hey, he lit it up the last couple weeks. I mean, they were on the cusp of the playoffs for the Bengals.
Jake Browning in college I'll take him even over.
I'll
Levis.
still take Kellen Moore too. Like Kellen Moore in college is
Like it's not like Browning really came out of nowhere. He just didn't ever start.
yeah.
Still, I don't know. This is tough. If they're rolling, then
I think it's too many new pieces.
yeah.
Like I have to gel early against those 3
Yeah.
games.
See,
right
that's
there
what
in
I mean.
September.
I think the season really starts week 6 after the bye week. Unfortunately, I think that's where they can really start to put it together.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like the bye
That's
week
tough.
to get it together. I think they actually might roll over the Colts in that home game,
Easily could
but then you're stuck in another rough stretch for a couple games.
a little bit, but even you can still. It's better than those 4 weeks. I mean, you could come up with a big win against Chicago. That could be cool. You could come out and be like, we are the team, and that could be really great and fantastic. But then to play the Jets early with hardly any injuries, hopefully, then to play Green
You got to
Bay-
play, the heir to the quarterback throne of, both Packers guys.
That's funny.
And then you got to play Caleb Williams, and who knows what's going to happen up there in Chicago. Like,
You gotta win that Chicago game just to not go into this bye week in a tougher spot than you need to be. That's tough. That's tough.
so let's go into the next team here. I believe, yes, it is the Indianapolis Colts. And if you go back a year ago, there was a lot of high promise for Anthony Richardson, who went down with a weird grade 3 deep shoulder sprain, which he got surgery on. So he ended up missing the entire year. Gardner Minshew steps in. Minshew wins a lot of key games, like in Baltimore, and he helps them get a promising Week 18 game in primetime Saturday night against the Houston Texans for the division title, essentially. They fell, a 4th down catch short by Tyler Goodson, and, well, that was kind of where the season is. So in 2024, they're hoping that Anthony Richardson can come back, progress the way he can, and be this promising quarterback that they drafted number 4 overall in 2023. As we look into the offense here, there's not a lot of big pieces that the Colts did to change it up per se. They draft Donnie Mitchell out of Texas, who could have been a first-round pick. It just was weird how like receivers and all that fell through. They go out and they needed a backup quarterback. Gardner Minshew goes to Las Vegas with his little RV van, truck, whatever he does. Doesn't pay for any rent. He just lives in the truck. I still love that story. You bring in comeback player of the year, 38-year-old Joe Flacco. And here's a piece I really like here. He was on the Eagles, and he was kind of like lost in the depth chart there, Jake. But Trey Sermon listed as RB2.
He played at some point in the last 2 seasons. He had more carries than Rashad Penny did.
And Rashad Penny's retired now, so like, just look at that.
Is he really? What?
Yeah,
he retired yesterday.
Right after last week when he said that he could be a top running back in the league if he got touches, and he retired? That's crazy. I read that last week, and I was like, all right, bud, let's chill. And then I guess he really did chill.
He heard Dom laughing at it, and he's like, you know what? I can't do it. This guy on the internet made fun of me, hanging it up.
I mean, I probably wasn't the only one. I had nothing against the dude, but
I was straight up angry that he got playing time over Gainwell all season. Or didn't get playing time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, I'm so surprised you said that.
Other way. I wanted him to play.
Wow. I mean, not to get off topic, but that's kind of crazy. All right. Continue.
So Anthony Richardson is the starter. He's looking to come back. I mean, when he was in games, the Colts offense was electric, but also it wasn't a designed, well, I should think of the appropriate word here. It wasn't meant to last. He got that concussion in week 2 against the Texans after scoring his second rushing touchdown. He didn't finish the Rams game. And then I believe the Titans game, that's where he got hurt.
Game.
No, he literally didn't finish.
He didn't complete a single game.
Oh, yeah, he missed the week 1 against the Jaguars. He also didn't complete as well. So, I mean, there is also now the injury concerns with Richardson. I mean, if he's on the field, I think this is like prime, like 2011, 2014 Cam, like pre like that shoulder injury. Like he can be one of the most electric quarterbacks in the AFC and potentially the NFL. It all comes down to health.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone doubts that. I don't think anyone doubted that last season. Before we start going down the health rabbit hole, I fully expect this team to at least make a big push for Ayuk.
Patriots still in, I guess.
This team, the Patriots, and I forget the other one that I have in my Rolodex in my head. This is the one I really see because like
Packers.
No,
okay,
because they have to pay Love next in the offseason. Like they have Richardson, who if he's healthy on a rookie deal, really all the offense needs is a dynamic receiver, one receiver.
They don't have a bad receiving core at all. Josh Downs is good. Pittman's Pittman. I mean, even
you also have some depth too. Doolin, Pierce, like you got good pieces, and then it's kind of like who's going to be fighting for that wide receiver 6. Like you got Laquan Treadwell, who's bounced around every other team in the league. He's like the Josh Johnson of receivers. He's on every single team's practice squad, on a game or 2 basis on a roster.
Like they have guys that can catch the ball, can run routes. They have dudes. I mean, Pittman's Pittman too, and I don't think any of us are doubting that Richardson can throw the ball either. It's just the fact that he does the things that the quarterbacks that are so physically talented do, like Lamar, and it is a liability. Obviously, I mean, we've seen it in the league enough. I'm not going to harp on it, but these quarterbacks are liabilities when they go out there and do that to themselves, and it is what it is, and it's a great thing when it works, and it's a really bad thing when they get hurt. It's just, if he could protect himself a little bit more, maybe don't take some of those risks. He plays longer than he's in the games till the end and stuff, and I'm sure that's stuff that they've worked on, that they've talked about, that they've,
He doesn't need to either.
Exactly. That's the thing, is he can throw the ball well. Like he's not a bad quarterback at all. We've questioned some of those guys. I've questioned Lamar. He's proven me a little bit wrong last year. Questioned other guys like Cam later in his career, stuff like that, But he can throw the ball well enough to be a good quarterback on his own without having to extend plays or anything like that. With his legs. So yeah, that's the thing, is he doesn't need to do those things. So if they can make him play a little bit safer, a little bit more conservative with how he does that, if he could stay in the games for longer, for the whole entire game, I would be decently confident this team can perform and win more games than last year. I mean, they won 9 games last year. They went over 500. That's not bad for their situation at all. So, and I would say that this team could have been better. And that was with Jonathan Taylor not playing for half the season as well, by the way. So this is an improved team from last year, no matter how you cut it.
Also, if I recall, Quentin Nelson did not have the best year either.
No, I don't think any of the offensive line did, right?
Like, they didn't have a great year for players that you know as like sure thing top talent at the line position.
So I think this offense period this year is improved just from having Jonathan Taylor the whole year. That's almost enough right there. But, fresh start, whole team together. I think it's an improvement from last year, obviously, and it's only up. We haven't looked at their schedule in the defense yet, but still.
I mean, we want to go to the defense, we can.
Yeah.
The one name we do have to mention here, Samson Ebukam, torn Achilles. He's out for the year. They signed a guy who is going to fill in, but I mean, next man up. That's what kind of what training camp is. Like, someone goes down with an injury, that frees up, someone that might not make the roster, have a chance to make the 53-man roster, and it's kind of messed up to say, but that's really how it is in the league. Like, you really make a lot of prime opportunities off of that. But looking at the rest of the team here, let me pull up. Gotta get there.
NFI on there.
Crap. What is that? That's a quick Google search.
What does that mean? Non-football injury?
That actually might be it.
I might actually
because it's red, like he's not, like he's
out,
like
he's injured. It might be a non-football injury.
Yeah, that might be like non-football injury. I looked it up and it says NFI, not flipping invited. That was also another Google search.
Oh, he's not invited.
That's too funny.
But they only made 2 free agent acquisitions here, and then Raekwon Davis, the defensive tackle, who is on the NFI list. So that's another thing there. They didn't lose much. They've lost Jonathan Martin as a defensive end, and on offense was Isaiah McKenzie, Zach Moss, and Gardner Minshew.
Okay.
They added a lot through the draft, though. Liatu Latu, UCLA defensive end. And they've also added some cornerbacks who were middle of the season. The Colts were really thin at, so they added Micah Abraham. They've added Jalen Simpson, Auburn for Simpson and Marshall for Abraham. They locked down Kenny Moore for a 3-year deal worth $30 million. He made a lot of clutch plays for him late in the year, but
yeah. Well, I have a question. I don't remember for a second Kenny Moore ever being on New England. Is that just me being wrong, or like?
Let's look up Google, because I kind of tune out all this. But anyone in New England. So let's look this up really quick.
Has he not been on the Colts for like?
He was on the New England Patriots practice squad, and they cut him from the practice in 2017.
It says waivers, so it's just how they acquired him. It doesn't say that.
I get that, but I see New England next to him. I'm like, I don't. For as long as his career has existed, I've only thought of him as a Colt. I don't know.
Yeah. But 516 tackles, 9.5 sacks. He has 3 defensive touchdowns, 2 of which came against the Panthers last year. 55 pass deflections and 17 interceptions. No, he's not. He's really worked his way up here in the league. So
any stats versus the Panthers last year don't count. So take away 3 pick 6 from
2.
No, from the Cowboys guy. That's one blank on his name at the moment.
Deron Bland.
I was going to say a baseball player. No, that I knew was wrong.
Deron Bland is who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
It's the same defense. It's
nothing really changed. It's like you got some youth in there. You didn't lose anyone. It's Samson Bukum is a loss, and then you lose Jonathan Martin. I already lost his name. Yeah, Jacob Martin, something with a J Martin.
But they have the time to figure it out and whatnot. So they can. It's okay.
And I should also mention, too, Jim Bob Cooter, one of the best names in NFL history, offensive coordinator. And Gus Bradley, the former Jaguars coach, is the defensive coordinator. So
2 guys from the really bad Lions? I think.
That might be true.
I know Cooter was. Yeah. Cooter was their coach, I think.
Yeah, Cooter was there. That was before the arrival of Dan Campbell.
Well, a long time ago now. Megatron was still on the team. I think he was. It was around.
Nah. This is like 2020 when he was like last there.
No, it was earlier than that.
As a head coach, I don't know.
Yeah, head coach of the Jaguars, like forever ago. He was
No,
part of the
Not
Gus.
Gus. Jim Bob Cooter.
coach of the Jaguars. Are we still talking about the Lions? Okay. You're even confusing me here.
Let's go to the schedule.
I want to go to the schedule.
curious.
So here we go. One schedule at very fine print telling you if it's a home game or at. So I don't even know where I pulled the schedule.
I'd rather these ones
Right
that tell
on.
you versus the color code thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
But yes, unlike the Titans, they had the late bye week here, week 14 compared to their week 5.
Jeez.
They do have a couple primetime games. One is against the Jets. That's a Sunday night football game. And they do have that subject to flexing game, week 17, which could be a Saturday game or a Sunday game, depending on which one has more odds at stake. And then week 18, which is every game's has the flexing option. But a lot of early games, though, for the Colts. Outside of the Jets and the Broncos are a 425. They're playing early this year, so a lot of key matchups with Caleb Williams. They'll be playing the Steelers. I say the toughest stretch of their schedule there is 7-12. The Dolphins, the Texans, and then you go against the Vikings, then the Bills, the Jets, then the Lions.
But then 13 and on, like after that is an easy stretch, dude. An easy stretch. They could win every single one of those games potentially. In full form, if Anthony Richardson is legit and doing it, maybe. I could have this team at like 10 wins.
Yeah, I had 9 to 10.
Yeah.
I was gonna say here's my bold take. This is gonna be a team that makes the playoffs this year. I was gonna say that.
Well,
I was going as far
9
as that.
puts you in the conversation.
Yeah, easily. I mean, generously they could have 11 wins, but you know.
I think it all depends. Like, how will the first 4 games go down? Because you do play Stroud and the Texans, who are very hot coming off their playoff push. Then you go against Jordan Love, who's also another team that's coming off very hot. And then you have the question marks with the Bears. And then it's
nice couple games. There's a nice couple games there. Bears, Steelers, Jags, Titans that you could kind of get back on track, and you get on track, I guess, period. Because like you said, those first 2 games are tough.
I mean, they control their own destiny, though, because you have to imagine Miami, Buffalo, and the Jets are all fighting for a playoff spot in that division.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You win 2 of the 3, you help yourself out a lot. Even 1, if depending on who it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or the Steelers, too.
Yeah.
Just like last year, though, they have the playoff, the playoff berth in their own hands. They just have to do it. They didn't last year.
And if they're sitting in a good spot, that last stretch of the schedule could just be exactly what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of chances for tiebreakers.
Yeah. And then easy games like the Giants, Patriots, Broncos, even potentially. So like
Broncos games could be rough. December up in Mile High.
there will be.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know.
That's the only reason why it's rough. It's not even like the team. It's just rough because of.
yeah. I didn't even see that was.
It's either it would be like 70 degrees, which we've seen in Denver in January and December, or it's going to be like 20 degrees and a blizzard going on. Perks living in a desert, which I'm still shocked that Denver is considered a desert. Apparently, yeah. I'm still surprised by that too.
It's interesting. All right. Do we want to do? We haven't done the successful thing.
Oh shit! So what will make this season successful for the Tennessee Titans? Because I've already botched the.
Oh, for the Titans?
Yeah.
How fast it comes together on offense with all the new pieces in the scheme.
I think as long as you improve from last year, so like you had 6 wins last year, if you could have upwards of 8. Now maybe you're talking about having a future with the team and Will Levis and stuff. Maybe you have it figured out kind of. If you have a 1,000-yard receiver, that'd be cool, which is very doable for them. You could have 2, honestly, because it's Calvin Ridley. So, I mean, like I would say it's really more about the offense than anything. And just if it's clicking, and you have an improvement in record, I'm happy.
And then what about the Indianapolis Colts? What will make this season successful?
Kind of a cliche, but Richardson staying healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And put, you got to be putting it together too. So like, again, an improvement.
Well, he never even had a rookie year, so it's not like.
Yeah, I guess that's true, huh? Yeah.
He left the team completely after the shoulder surgery. Like he wasn't even around.
Which was like week 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And an improvement on the 9-8 record would be cool. So, Will, do you have any thoughts on those stuff? Because you didn't.
Nah, I don't have any thoughts on them. The Titans, I can't even put a thing to it, so I don't even know what to expect from them. The Titans, the Colts, it's Richardson. Like if Richardson goes down, will Joe Flacco really have that luck that he had in Cleveland last year, where just like he ignited one of the best stretches in football, recent memory?
All right. Well,
let's go down to Duval, where the Jacksonville Jaguars, if you go to week 12 last year, there was a 4-way tie at 8-3, and the Jaguars held all the tiebreakers, being the number 1 seed in the AFC, following a win against the Houston Texans. After that stretch, they went a 1-5 stretch and saw themselves out of the playoffs, which was the story last year with another team as well. So, Trevor Lawrence now is paid. That's another big question. Not question mark, but another thing to make mention of as well. So, how will the Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars be?
You're having a great show.
I know.
Houston Texans trample over the Jaguars. I think that's what Will meant to say. That's crazy.
But how will Trevor Lawrence now come into play here with a brand new receiving core, which is. Here it is. So if you go back last year, let's look at their receiving core. Then it was Christian Kirk. Okay. They signed him to that big money contract in the offseason of 2022. Zay Jones. They had Jamal Agnew as well. A long-time Jacksonville Jaguar there. And Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley leaves. Zay Jones leaves. Jamal Agnew leaves. They bring in Gabe Davis, 3 years, $39 million. You bring in Devin Duvernay, who's a burner. From the Baltimore Ravens. And then you draft one of the best passing possession receivers, if you want to say, from the draft last year, Brian Thomas from LSU. And may as well make this mention, too. They get Mitch Morse, who was cut from the Buffalo Bills. He was also the center at the time when Doug Peterson was in Kansas City working on Coach Reed's staff. So nice little connection there, bringing it all together. And, they trade for Mac Jones. So you telling someone in the past that, the Jaguars are going to have the number 1 and number 15 pick from the 2021 draft on the same roster. Leave them mind blown.
I mean, also it's worth mentioning Evan Ingram because he's low-key been like their best receiver as well. Or at least safest target, it seems like. I don't know. It's tough because if you couldn't put it together that well with the receiving core you had last year, I have a hard time saying you're going to do it again this year. Like you're going to be able to put it together this year. I mean, Calvin Ridley was a phenomenal acquisition for them, and it really only worked out for like kind of 3 games-ish.
Well, they have Gabe Davis for that now.
Yeah, which is less reliable.
3 games.
Well, okay, yeah, that's
you're getting 3 catches, maybe 150 yards or 0.
Yeah, so I mean, sure replaced, okay, but if you couldn't do a better job with Calvin Ridley, I don't know. Zay Jones was cool. I mean, it worked when it worked. I don't know. I have a tough time saying that this team is better than what we saw last year.
Let me just put my finger over Gabe Davis and Devin Duvernay. Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas, I think, could be a really good 1-2 receiving duo in this league. I think it could be one of the best. That's a stud receiving duo, but also sucked too. Like Christian Kirk, he had that abdomen tear or groin tear that he had late in the season last year. Trevor Lawrence was going through those injuries late in the season too. So like the wheels fell off early December, and having CJ Beathard kind of try to fill in that role, it wasn't really going to work that well.
The thing is, though, too, last year we were like, oh, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, sick. So we could have said the same thing last year, and they still couldn't put it together. That's my issue with the team is if they couldn't do it with a guy like that and Christian Kirk and stuff, who's to say that they're going to do it this time? So it's tough. That's a tough one for sure. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this offense, like at all.
Also, like even with those guys, it's not like the offense lit the world on fire before.
No, but it was supposed to be improved last year, and it wasn't.
It wasn't exactly.
That's the issue.
And there was a whole thing about who's calling the plays.
And I went into last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but I went into last year and that preview and stuff pretty hyped. And like, oh, hey, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good year. There's no way he doesn't. This receiving core is cool. Like,
when's the time to have that conversation about Lawrence?
I don't know.
Is it time?
Week 4 this year. Week 4 this year is a solid time to have it.
Well, now you kind of dug yourself a hole because, he's under contract for the next 6 years? I mean, 5th year option? And then he has that gigantic contract now. So,
yeah.
I mean, they obviously don't think it's a conversation, but if you look at any numbers ever about him,
yeah.
Fumbles and turnovers are always the question there.
Even when you take out that first horrible season with Urban Meyer, it's still not great. Exactly. Like, you can give him the mulligan, and it doesn't help him.
His second season was better than last year, for sure, I would say. But I don't know. Again, I don't know what to think about this offense. I have a hard time saying this offense is better than it was last year. So
I think the offensive line will keep them upright. You made the trade for Urza Cleveland from the Minnesota Vikings at the trade deadline. You add Mitch Morse. Brandon Sheriff is still a stud. I think it kind of falls on, is Cam Robinson going to stay healthy? How will Anton Harrison be with not having to be flipped to the left tackle spot rather than his right tackle position? That's kind of like the question I have to think of. Or
just your top paid quarterback playing like an actual top 5 quarterback.
Well, I mean, if the offensive line, sure. But he has the chance to do it, I guess.
What guys really didn't he have? Like, he had a good offensive line before.
I don't think last year
he didn't have a bad one.
No, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, really all these guys here were there except for, Mitch Morse.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they had the guys. They had the improved offense that we said last year, and nothing changed.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It just needs to be better this year, period. That's it. We can have this conversation week 4 when we have the sample size to decide whether or not this is a better offense than last year, I guess. And if Trevor Lawrence can put it together better than last year, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you don't have any excuses anymore. You got paid.
Exactly.
You got paid, so now you have to. You have to be that guy.
You don't have any excuses. It's either you put it together or you don't. And all the doubters become kind of correct about what's going on there. So, and maybe Mac Jones plays a game, which is crazy.
Nah, he looked awful in camp. I don't think they're they're not letting him touch that field.
I've heard he looks really bad.
There's no way. I saw the little drill where they're running the football and they're flipping onto the mat, and Mac Jones having too much fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, nah, he's not going there.
That's a fall off that should be studied.
Yeah. Well,
Josh McDaniels. If he stayed in New England, I mean, who knows? Maybe Mac Jones would be the guy there still.
Yeah, and now Drake
First
May.
to 30 for 30.
I'm hearing mixed reviews about Drake May. Really good. And then some dude on NFL Network or Fox or ESPN or something said he's atrocious. So
Joe Milton.
I really don't care how.
It was Joe Milton saying that stuff because I've only
No. Joe Milton. No, there was reports that Joe Milton was outperforming Drake May.
No, that's just some guy who sees him throw the ball 70 yards without moving and be like, "Oh my god!"
It was day 1 of camp, and some dude was on a set was saying some crazy stuff. Was this is whatever Mac Jones's worst game was. This is Drake May in camp right now, and it's bro, it's day 1.
It's also 11 on 11s.
Yeah, and then every report I've seen out of New England from reporters has been he looks like he's the guy. So who knows, man? I don't know.
You won't know until he actually steps on a football field against people that aren't his teammates.
It's a fact. So let's move on to defense.
So on the defensive side of the football, they add Eric Armstead from the 49ers, who was a cap casualty. They add Ronald Darby and Trey Flowers. They revamp the secondary with Terrell Edmonds, Darnell Savage. They bring in a new defensive coordinator. Ryan Nielsen. He's not related to the Nielsen rating, but he is also there. And they also lost a couple pieces. Clevon Chason. Yeah, messed that one up. Dewan Smoot, Foley Fakusari, who goes to the Houston Texans, I believe. And then a whole revamp of the secondary. Trey Herndon's out. Darius Williams is out. Rayshon Jenkins is gone. One of my favorite secondary members in this entire team, Tyson Campbell. He's not a name that you're going to hear on the national TV, but he did get paid 4 years, I think like $76 million just a month ago. Dude's a baller, and he's going to continue to be a baller. Yeah, I don't have anything else. I know Mason Smith, guy out of Clemson. He's going to be, pretty valuable for the Jaguars, especially in the trenches up front, playing defensive tackle. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
at all, to be honest, like whatsoever. I have a tougher time predicting how this team's going to play than Titans, to me personally. Or like saying that I have a tougher time saying that this team will improve than saying the Titans will improve. I think, personally. No, it's good.
Fumble.
Kind of fumble. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I don't know.
I like the defense. I put it in the middle of the pack.
Very.
I'm drawing a blank if this was one of the defenses that were like middle of the pack, like 20th to finish last year. I'm thinking of something else, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking of something else here. Not any fake tweets or anything, a fake report, so we're okay with that. But yeah, Andre Sisco, he's still anchoring the back end there. Andrew Wingard is still there. And also Josh Hines Allen. He changed his name from Josh Allen to Josh Hines Allen. I think he just included his middle name there. I mean, if I think of Josh Allen, I think of, the man in Jacksonville who's 5 years, $140 million paid, not some guy in Buffalo who's a meme god for the Bills TikTok page. But yeah.
So true.
I don't know. With a lot of losses, they do have some gains, and the gains are, they're valuable. But as to your point, Dom, what is going to happen here on the defensive side? There's just those question marks.
I don't know if this team is worse or better or just zero. Like, I don't know on both sides of the ball. I really can't.
You know what that means? Especially when you only won 9 games last year?
That you are just one of those teams.
You're just the most mid-purgatory team.
You're just the Buffalo Sabres at all times. That's what you are. I don't know. That's how that's it, dude. I don't.
This is giving me big shuffling deck chairs vibes.
Yeah, because this team is not. Well, let's look at the schedule and then we'll continue this conversation.
I like the schedule on this one. The Jax guide, nice little TV guide.
What about the team?
I mean, it's kind of like yours where, I have to tilt the head. So I had to match what you did with the Buccaneers last year. So I have to slightly tilt my head like 15 degrees and read the schedule there.
This is also like the only schedule I've seen by both of us so far that isn't presented by Ticketmaster. It's presented by Dream Finders Homes. So that's so random.
It must be a Florida thing.
Which one's home games?
So like Jacksonville versus Miami. So that's going to be how it goes.
Oh, it's the left and right.
So when you read it across,
for some reason, I don't know.
Because they open the season in Miami, and that's gonna suck.
Yeah,
because early
they play in Florida. Like it's
like in Jacksonville in December, it's like 50 degrees, and Miami's like 85 always. So it's like so hard to compare like those Floridas because they always have
102 degrees normally, and then the sideline is gonna be 200 degrees.
Is that
they might melt.
I can't see if that's a 1 o'clock.
It looks like a 1 o'clock.
I don't even know what's going on. Just look at the little starburst there for like Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. They do their back-to-back in London again. Where they play the Bears and then they play the Patriots. I don't know. That's a tough stretch to open up the season. The first 2 games, you play Miami and then you play Cleveland. But then you go to Buffalo and then Houston.
Oh, that's tough, man. That's tough.
And then put a win total on this team. I don't. It's just so
finish last.
Odd.
They might finish last.
They might finish last.
And they might finish last not with that much worse of a record than 9-8.
Well, they all might finished like around the same last year, except for the Titans.
Yeah. Houston. Well, yeah, that's true. Dude, I don't freaking know.
Yeah, this is a weird team. A weird schedule. I wouldn't say a weird team. I say the schedule's more weird because, like, you open up your first 3 of 4 games on the road but then you have like your London games, and then you come back. You're not taking your bye week until like later.
That first game is 1 o'clock. They're gonna get roasted.
They might go from 9-8 to 8-9. I don't. That's it, dude. I don't know what else to say.
Good luck. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
I'm not in your shoes.
It's just they're stuck in the spot in the middle of the division. They don't have a good draft pick. They don't have a good playoff seed. They're just there, bro. I don't know. I think they're just gonna be right there again, and that's it. It's hard to. I mean, I don't know. It's not the Falcons where you've gone 7-9 3 years in a row, but it's just hardly, barely, slightly better than that, and that's it. I don't know.
So what will make the Jacksonville Jaguars successful this year?
Digging yourself out of the hole. Put it together.
Your star quarterback plays like a star quarterback.
Yeah. Put it together. It works, and you get 10 wins. And you literally just improve on the 9-8 record because you put stuff together. Because that schedule does not say 10 wins. So if you manage to put 10 wins up, then you've improved and you've played better and you've put it together and you're digging yourself out of the middle of the ground hole that we feel like they're going to be in. So, okay, I would call that successful, I guess. I don't know. 3,500 yards, less than.
And you know what? It's not going to get better because this is a year where he's not on that contract yet.
Yeah, that's also true. I don't know. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Will, what are your thoughts on that stuff?
Good luck. I don't know. I wasn't high on him last year, and you guys were making fun of me. And then I was just like, oh, I looked right, but I also picked the Titans to win the division, and then that fell apart.
That's funny too.
Before we talk into the last team, Dom, I must tell you to make the wheel of misfortune.
We're good. I have it up. We're good.
We have it? Okay, cool. So, we'll do that after
head of the game.
Our division winner of the NFC South. I wish the AFC South a year ago. Your Houston Texans.
0.
I did not think of that. Hold on. I got this. All right, cool. We removed the logo on there. So
crazy. That's so crazy.
So a year ago, it was a lot of question marks. Can CJ Stroud, break that quota, that motto of just Ohio State quarterbacks are just bad in the NFL? Can he do that? And then the S2 cognitive test comes out. They flunk that, and he was kind of roasted on that. He turned into.
Sorry. To be honest, the only one saving his stock was like Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee, like nonstop, was like
Pat McAfee. Oh no, Pat McAfee wasn't taking that exam.
No. I'm saying about CJ Stroud being like the guy. He was like the one that harped on that forever during the draft leading up to that. And if anyone saved his butt a little bit, it might have been Pat and his show.
But I think if anybody that watched, especially the college football playoffs that year, you knew Stroud was the guy.
Yeah.
When he lit up Georgia and just came up short because of a field goal.
You had to celebrate the new year. As soon as the ball dropped, that field goal went wide.
Yeah, you knew he was the guy at that very moment. You really did.
And CJ Stroud proved just that. He set a single game rookie passing record, 471 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he held the most signature game-winning drive of last season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, closing them out with under 2 minutes to go, drove down the field, proved that, and brought the Texans to new heights, brought them to their first playoff appearance since 2019, first home playoff game since that same season as well. And, they came up just short against the Baltimore Ravens in a very hostile environment in Baltimore, but the future's looking bright now for this Houston Texans team, who looks to really improve on what they did in 2023 and try to replicate it and then some in 2024.
See, here's the difference of when you actually have a guy. The rest of the teams in the division, you might have a guy. This team has a guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of been, every quarterback. Anthony Richardson. Yeah, every quarterback that we've talked about in this division, it's like, let's see what they can do. Let's see if they can do it. Here's the guy that can do it.
So looking at the offense here, let's just take the elephant in the room here. They go out and they trade for Stephon Diggs. They rework his deal so he can be a free agent after, the 2024 season if he so chooses, or he can re-sign with the Houston Texans. They trade for Joe Mixon, who fills in that void that they lost with Devin Singletary, who was pretty electric down the stretch. It's unfortunate because I was a really big Dameon Pierce fan. I was really rooting for him, and still wish he can be a starter in this league. They make a trade for Ben Skoranek, who was not the worst guy in the Los Angeles Rams. He was honestly pretty electric when he was on the field. I don't even know where else to go. I mean, those are really the only three big moves.
Well, and now you have Mechie back from his.
Yeah. Dude,
yeah, Mechie, you could go 9 deep on these receivers, and them all. You know all 9 of these guys.
Also, they're like 3 deep at tight end as well.
This is an insanely deep. That's nuts, dude. The fact that you have Robert Woods, Noah Brown, and Mechie, who we've all seen have great games in their career. Well, Mechie not as much, but we know it's possible. I think
he was just as good as some of the other guys there.
Oh, easily, and even Skoranek, that's number 9. No, what is that? 7?
The third slot guy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And you have Xavier Hutchinson, who filled in when Nico Collins was hurt, and then Tank Dell had the injury. Yeah. And then Steven Sims, who was, he was decent with Pittsburgh. I mean, realistically, for the receiving core, you're maybe getting 6, possibly 7 on the 53-man roster, and that's a shame. And you're going to lose a guy like Johnny Johnson III, who's one of my favorite names across the entire league, which is just awesome. And also, let's bring up too, Jake, you mentioned the tight ends there. Cade Stover. You know how he got his hands so good? Do you know how he did?
I forget. Isn't he the farm kid?
He's the farm kid. He massages cows. That's how his hands are so good. I'm just saying. I saw that. I'm like, okay, this man, he's won my heart. Like that's a great story.
So many other things, like
there you go.
The pregame features of because he's farm strong.
Yeah, he's
farm strong.
It's the only positive massage news I've heard out of Houston in a while.
See, I didn't know.
We didn't need to do that. Okay, jeez. Oh my God. But let's turn this back here. They get Blake Fisher with one of their 2 second-round picks out of Notre Dame. Cade Stover. I don't need to mention what he does again. And then you get there's not really much else to talk about.
Tugs?
Whoa! I will say, last year, and CJ Stroud did dig Houston out of this Deshaun Watson
pit of despair. It was No, it was the dilly, the pit of misery. Let's bring that back again.
But he did kind of rewrite the Houston Texan narrative, kind of, and that's awesome. And this team looks incredible. Joe Mixon being there is nuts. When Rex Burkhead was the guy, sometimes the fact that was even a thing is crazy. But
are you talking about in Houston or Cincinnati? Because they didn't play together in Cincinnati.
Houston. I'm talking about in Houston. You went from some games it being Rex Burkhead, the dude, to
Lamar Miller,
and to Joe Mixon, a legitimate running back. As long as he's good, whatever stuff happens off the field, whatever, I don't know. It's been a lot at this point, but this is a great team. The receiving core is nuts. Tight ends, quarterback.
See, you know what the best thing about the receiving core that I like? It's not dependent on Diggs, so you don't get his nonsense.
No, there's so much here. Diggs was the guy in Buffalo,
and he got the wide receiver 1 diva ego because he knew it was him or nobody.
And that's basically, but it was him or nobody, basically.
Yeah.
Because, and
he threw a tantrum anytime it wasn't him.
Yeah, and that opened up for Gabe Davis to be Gabe Davis, and I get that, and Isaiah McKenzie, and whatever, But here, Stephon Diggs is how do you cover this team, dude? If you have 5 wide receivers and a tight end out there on any set or whatever, what do you even do, bro? And even Joe Mixon out of the backfield. Yeah, that's what you do. Joe Mixon out of the backfield, even this is an incredibly good set up team. I don't know how you do this in a year and a half. How you go from what you went to this is just absolutely nuts. So
you might want to take a seat when we go to the defense here, because if you think this receiving core is deep, the defense is even deeper. That's what she said.
All right, well, hey.
So looking at the defense here, I want to highlight from the secondary here. You guys know how many secondary people there are. I know you know these names. You know Derek Stingley. They get Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia in round 2. Desmond King, who was bouncing around with the Chargers, the Titans. He finds his home there. Jeff Okudah, who was traded to Atlanta last year. CJ Henderson's there. Mike Ford, you're going to know. You're going to know MJ Stewart. I mean, even the safeties, Eric Murray, Jimmy Ward, Jalen Petrie. You know a lot of these people on the secondary. That's not even going into like the front 7 where, you know, there's, oh man, let's just talk about the additions here. So on
Hunter, oh my God.
So they brought in Danico Autry from the Titans. I think he might be dealing with a suspension. I don't know, like 6 games for performance enhancing drugs.
He's out. I forget. Yeah, PEDs. I think it's 6 games.
That's crazy.
You bring in Derek Barnett, who was with the Eagles for a while, but you know he was their waiver acquisition, I believe, last year. Daniil Hunter, Foley Fakusar, who's going to be containing the inside of that line. Azeez Al-Shire from the Titans again, and you have Tommy Towson, who was a long time Chiefs punter too. I know we don't really talk about the special teams, but special teams, special plays, special players. What's up, Sketch? Yeah.
There you go.
Talk about the Titans there. How fitting is that?
Nice.
But, they did lose Jonathan Grenard, Jerry Hughes. But Jerry Hughes is on there, so I guess he's resigned or something. I have no idea. Malik Collins, Sheldon Rankins, Blake Cashman, Denzel Perryman, Steven Nelson. Like, they did make some losses, but, like, the gains are so much more significant than the losses. Like, it's a better gain for them.
There you go. Massive gains. There you go. That's it.
Mozzarella sticks and all that stuff. That's how you get the gains to the world.
This is a great team, bro. I don't even it's so cool that so much of their youth has kind of panned out and is still on the team. They haven't given up on guys like John Mechie or Damian Pierce, even though they haven't been nuts. And then there's guys on this defense like Stingley and Petrie and stuff, and it's just what?
If this team can stop the run,
forget about it.
Forget about it. This team's running away with with the AFC
easily. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is your dude that you really that's your biggest threat.
You do realize how nuts that statement is too, right?
Oh yeah,
running with the AFC, like that's
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Burrow,
AFC,
Lamar, Mahomes. Like, if this team can stop the run, it's over.
It's crazy to say that we're saying, or crazy to see that we're saying stuff like that from a quarterback that's been in the league for one singular year so far, and you got to think it only goes up from there, which is kind of nuts.
Because the biggest jump's always year 1 and year 2.
Yeah, and I mean, God, if he doesn't jump at all, it's still fantastic. Like, I don't, this is. I mean, he genuinely was the best rookie quarterback we've seen as far as numbers go, easily. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is just a really good team, period. That's it.
I don't even care what we run through the schedule with, to be honest.
Yeah, you got to think this is a 13. Well, let's look.
So the schedule here, yes, it's the worst schedule of all time with color coding. So, and also, I got to just say this too. I do not like those uniforms. There was nothing wrong with the old uniforms, especially those H-Town ones. I'm not a fan of them.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I think that's the most negative thing I have about this team is just the uniform changes. But other than that, you open up at home against Caleb, you go on the road to Minnesota, and then you're at home for both the Jaguars, the Bills.
I think then you're easily start 6-0. Packers
6-0, like Kansas City. Oh, I'm looking.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Okay, that's the toughest part. Can we just talk about that real quick? That is easily the toughest part when we do these previews.
I always look the wrong direction first
every time. Is because half of the schedule
is all different,
up and down, and half go left to right, and it's so. Yeah, no, I know, I get that. I will say there are only 3 games on this schedule that I could say that is oh, they'll probably lose, maybe.
Well, see, here's the thing: is that's what happens when you have a quarterback.
Yeah, Kansas City, Baltimore, and the Jets. If the Jets are still the Jets, and the Jets are rolling, and sauce and everything like that, then
I still have to put the Lions up there.
I mean, they have 2-3 rough 3-week stretches. Jets, Lions, Cowboys,
Oh yeah, true.
Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens.
And the Chiefs and the Ravens are, it's a Saturday game for the Chiefs, and then they have to turn around, play 4 days later on Christmas. So that's rough for them.
They might not have to even play that game, to be honest. Like,
At least Baltimore, they may not have to.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but see that could be like a first place match thing.
but
They
you
could be
also-
competing for first place with Kansas City, and then immediately be competing for first place with like that bye week, first bye with Baltimore back to back, which would kind of suck for them.
Yeah, but I mean,
That part does suck.
the Ravens, regardless of their schedule, don't have a schedule chocked full of easy wins just because of the division.
Also true.
The Jets do.
Yeah.
The Chiefs do.
Yeah.
And
Well, the Chiefs may not just because. Well, it's the Chiefs.
no, the Chiefs do
They're
because
probably-
Denver's done.
Yeah.
Raiders are done. Chargers are rebuilding.
Yeah. But I'm saying the Chiefs do have like a first place schedule, so who knows?
Yeah, but that's what? How many? 6 free wins, basically.
Yeah. So, that is tough. Like Will said, you do have, or did you? Whoever said Jets, Lions, Dallas, that could be a little bit difficult. And then to end at the end of the season, that is kind of rough. But you could already have 12 wins by that point.
You could also by
Have 13 wins. I mean,
week 15, Dolphins could have already imploded.
easily. But that's a home game. That's good. So, yeah, I don't. This is man. They could still. I'm gonna count it.
They have like really like one rough game, 2 rough games on the schedule. That's about it. Like going on the road to Arrowhead late in the year is going to suck. I mean, they have all their other big teams at home. What might be of the Bills, what might be at that point of the season, the Dolphins, the Ravens, and the Lions. They're all at home. So I don't know. I think this team sleepwalks to double digits, and it's just about where do they get seated.
There's the who put that schedule together, Will, or that record thing together, remember?
What record thing?
Oh my gosh, what?
Oh, that was USA Today or Washington Post, something like that. The record predictor.
Yeah, you don't go by USA Today. That's not what you were supposed to
Have
go
you
by.
seen this
Oh, no, it's-
division?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that?
That's bad. That's real bad.
Oh, I don't know. if
Here,
it's gonna
I might get it on mine.
focus.
You might get it on mine.
Bro. That's like awful.
It's gonna turn the brightness down.
Yeah, let's turn down the sun there. Oh, yeah, I want to see what.
That's awful.
That's insane.
That's real awful.
That's insane. What? Okay, I mean, I just wanted to look just to see. I was like, yeah, no, they obviously
It
have
also has the Jets at 13-3 or
12 and
13-1.
5. 12 and 5. Still, though.
Also, can we say how I'm still
Crazy.
super programmed to the old number of games when doing a schedule?
Oh, it's difficult to
Wait
change.
till you finish. Wait till you get used to 17, and then they're gonna go poof 18.
Yeah, I'll finally get used to it, and then
You're screwed.
just like the Commanders, I finally started calling the football team.
How do you not even have the Texans making the playoffs? That's so crazy.
Well, that's what USA Today is. The
I know, no, it's the, I don't know. That's nuts, though, that they did that.
But let me mention the question here: what will make this season successful for the Houston Texans?
Super Bowl.
At least to get there, it's kind of the same. It's really the same standard we have for the Lions, where it's like your team has never been good enough to be good. Period. And your fans deserve something better than what they've ever had. So if you make it to the Super Bowl, you've already done great for yourself.
This is also the year that every team makes that jump. Like with the young quarterbacks, they always do it in their second year. Like
Yeah, no, 100%.
Burrow, and like the ones that get there, and then like it's always that thing. If they win, they win again. If they don't go back.
Mm.
It's usually this year when it comes to them.
Imagine Texans, Lions. everything we said on this show would be phenomenal. That'd be it.
Well,
We could retire early.
you can take the Lions for that. I'll still.
Yeah, but that's fair. But yeah, no, I don't have hope. So, yeah, I think that's really it, man. If they make the Super Bowl, they've done their fans and their organization a service, and everyone will be proud of them. And I don't think, I mean, yeah, they won Super Bowl. Come on, but I don't think if they lost, anyone will be disappointed about it. They'll be like, you know.
Well, they I mean, the way things are now, you have to do it while they're on a rookie deal.
Yeah, no.
Unless your
100%.
GM's a wizard and can somehow
Hey, man.
get a.
Imagine this contract. I think CJ Stroud in the next
I
5
think by the
years is the
time
highest paid player in the league.
I
mean,
think
right?
by the time he gets there, though, they do that whole thing they talk about quarterbacks being their own thing.
Maybe.
I would have to think.
No, that there's a talk about quarterbacks having their own salary cap,
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
being separate off the cap.
Jeez, that'd be revolutionary in sports or innovative or something.
I would have to think like a successful season for them is you have to get high enough in the postseason rankings. Like you don't want to be going on the road. Like we've seen them go on the road because like they're 0-6, 0-5 in the divisional round. They've been to New England twice. They've been to Baltimore twice. And
Well,
then
who
they've
really
been to
wins from
Kansas
the?
City.
Almost nobody wins from the away seeds. It's like the record of teams that aren't the bye week teams. It's like one in the last 20 years.
And the AFC teams, the AFC home playoff teams, are pretty tough.
Yeah, they're rough.
Tough.
Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like you don't want to be a team in Southern Texas having to go to Kansas City or you go to New England or Baltimore. You don't want to play in these cold games. You
No.
want to be high enough to where like okay, hey, I could host 2 playoff games. Like the Lions, for example, they got to host 2
Well,
uh,
it's the
playoff
same
games
thing,
in the
right?
dome.
Like
Yeah.
Green Bay,
Mm.
Philadelphia, or like
Buffalo, like
it doesn't matter like where they are or who they are. It's just the amount of team that you have to be the bye week home field advantage team to win the Super Bowl since 2000.
It's kind of true.
and I also want to say too, like not let like the Texans should not like get themselves all up in their head, like, oh hey, we can like run away with this division or whatever. Like,
No,
don't have that fall off like the last 2 years. Like the Titans had a commanding lead over the division 2 years ago, and then they lost to the Jaguars. Jaguars did it last year. You don't want to have the Texans be like, oh hey, we're like a couple games up, like it's okay, we could let our foot off the gas, and then
this
Tannehill, Trevor Lawrence, who I mean, besides name brand, is worse stats wise. It's probably worse than Tannehill if you really wanted to look at it. I don't have it offhand. And then versus what Stroud has done.
this division's still going to be a race, right? Like it's not, but
I think it's
the
a
Houston
race
Texans,
for 2.
yeah, they should get ahead, but I still think yeah, I think it might still be a race just because of how it's built, but I think we're all pretty clear about the Texans should be number one. They should be competing for the number 1 spot in the entire conference. So.
And I think that runs out our show, but we still have one more segment here. We have the Wheel of Despair, or well, misfortune, however you want to quote that.
I like this.
But now we are 16 teams down with 16 teams to go. Where are we going to be going to next? In one of our favorite games, the Wheel of Misfortune. We have both AFC West. We have both Western divisions. We have the NFC East and we have the AFC North.
So wait, we already did yours. Your
Yeah.
team.
Yes.
So
Correct.
it's
It's just you.
I'd rather us. No, we did it.
And
Oh, the
Colton's.
Jets.
And then we need Colton. Yeah.
We'd rather have one of our teams this
Mm.
like coming up because we haven't had one in a little bit.
Here we go. And where is it going to land? Nobody knows. Uh-oh.
No, it's
That's a good one.
We go out west to the Cardinals and the Niners, your Super Bowl runner-ups, the Seahawks.
our team, the
Rams.
Rams.
And the Rams, yes, designated Rams fans. I'll be wearing my jersey next week to make sure everyone knows my love for the
Come on.
Rams.
Hell yeah. I got like 7 hats.
I'll wear the 10 hats that we bought for like $25 because they were just getting rid of everything.
We can coordinate and just.
We came in, they're like, keep it, please. Don't even pay us. Just go.
Honestly, Will, we could coordinate so that when we get to the title screens and we are not visible, we just throw another one on together. That we might have to do that. Colton would be so pissed.
Oh, you would just rage.
He'll yell at us about being fake fans.
You guys are fake fans.
We are, but whatever.
Will is a closet every fan.
We did enough to support, okay? No, they did enough for us to support.
The
okay?
Commanders thing is still visible in his background.
How can I not? That's $30. I almost bought I should have bought the one for the Super Bowl. It was $100. That would have been like the greatest thing of all time.
You could have had sideline seats for $30 in that stadium.
I liked our seats. We saw the little fire thing go down in FedEx, and then
The fire in the stands?
Oh no!
There's a fire sprinkler in a suite went off, and it was just flooding it. It was like 30 degrees.
We was right by us too.
Somehow it doesn't shock me.
It was
You got
so funny.
you got bleachers falling over.
I think we were around the point where Jalen Hurts almost died because all the fans were reaching over and the guardrail collapsed.
Yeah, it fell right at his ankle.
Dude, what a time!
I'd go back. That stadium's better than MetLife.
It's
It's
still
better than MetLife.
We both said it at the same time. That's so great.
Well, yeah,
Has more character because it's falling apart. That's why.
Yeah, everyone's they're happy with what they have. Not, no one at MetLife is happy with what they have. So.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, rounds out our show. You can follow us on all of our great social media tabs. YouTube for the Fan Network, TikTok. If you're here, I mean, we had 10 viewers pretty much consistently throughout the whole show. Follow us for the Fan Network, Twitter and/or X for the Fan _ and Instagram for the Fan Football. You can listen to us next day on your local podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Last time I could say it because it's shutting down. Google Podcast, Spreaker, and the whole 10 yards. I used to say them all like 6 years ago. I was really emphasizing Google Podcasts, and now it's no more. It's coming to an end, closing down permanently.
AI is just going to be doing podcasts instead now for Google. So
Yeah.
who knows?
But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week for the NFC West as we get to go as far west as we possibly can, covering all 4 teams next week. So yes, tune in next week. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night, everyone.